I, I don't cherish it. That's just the fact about it. Yeah, you see, like the conventional medicine, this is something that has passed laboratory test. It has passed all measures that yes, this is it has cure for this and this, and this is how you take it. This is the side effect and the rest. But like that one, there is nothing like that. You just take it and it's at your own detriment.
I love those traditional medicine. They are okay because I have a guy that here in Abuja, he went for teeth problem and now that thing caused him cancer that he has and nobody take care of him. It swell up big and he was looking for money on the street now to treat himself. But if it is this natural, this our local traditional medicine, it's okay for me. For me, because our forefathers have been using it and they are, in fact, they are living for longer years.
Alternative medicine, I can say it's very good and it's very economical. It's very cheap. So, and if you have somebody can assist, it do help. Like in terms of the medicines, it's very costly. And so alternative I think is very okay. But only thing is that sometimes the unprescribed and the quantity is not, so sometimes they may even give overdose to a particular medicine that what you want to treat about.
Right, the cross section of Nigerians there expressing their views on traditional medicine. We have with us the studio's four guests to discuss this issue in further detail. First, let's welcome the Director General of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC. That's Professor Mojisola Adeyeye. Professor Adeyeye, a pleasure to have you with us on Good Morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Yeah.
Also here with us at the studios, a pleasure to have him again after a couple of years, Professor MacDonald Idu. Professor Idu is a professor of phytomedicine at the University of Benin in Edo State. Prof, delight to have you again on Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Yes, and we have Dr. Jamila Aliyu Ibrahim. She is the head of Department of Medicinal Plant Research and Traditional Medicine, National Institute for Pharmacological Research and Development, NIPRID. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
And of course, we have pharmacist Zainab Ujudud Sharif, Director and Head of Department of Traditional, Complementary and Alternative Medicine, Federal Ministry of Health. Ma'am, you're welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be home.
All right, let's, again, of course, you listened to the views expressed by some Nigerians in a backgrounder to this conversation, and I'm sure that a number of our viewers who are watching will also harbor some of these thoughts. So let's just begin with, if you like, a conceptual clarification. We hear traditional medicine, the herbal medicine, and of course, the usual things that will come under jazz, Boka, Dibia, Babalawo, and Professor Idu from Edo, that will be Obo, or what is it? So, what is the relationship amongst all of this, and what are the differences?
For the purpose of clarification, it's good that we let Nigerians know what traditional medicine is. A simple definition, you can say that traditional medicine is a sum total knowledge and practices, either explicable or non-explicable, that has been ended up used in the management, diagnosis, treatment of diseases. Okay? It can even be spiritual or social, as it is defined, handed down from generation to generation, either through observations. If you look at our people, they didn't have documentation, but they were observing, they were talking. Those their talks you said, they were giving a message. That is for the purpose. And traditional medicine is encompassing so many components. Let's look at the components briefly. You hear TBAs, they call them traditional birth attendants. They take delivery at the local level. Then we have traditional bone setters. They are the bone setters. We have the spiritualists. Those ones do spiritualism in it. And then we have herbal medicine sellers. When you go to Lagos, you see this Mama Lao that sells herbs. They have the knowledge of each herb, what it is for. And then we have herbalists. The herbalist, to me, as we are here, we are herbalists because we know what medicinal plants are that can be used and researched in the management of diseases. So that means herbal medicine is a component of traditional medicine. What is herbal medicine? Herbal medicine is a crude form components of the parts of plants. It can be the leaves, it can be the seeds, it can be the roots, it can be the bark. Furthermore, that is combined either singly or combination thereof package, which we would want to further process into various products. As we go along, we talk about phytomedicines, we talk about nutraceuticals, we talk about these are all components. Is a gamut of value chain.
Yeah, gamut of value chain. That's interesting. I'm beginning to understand the difference now. Let's go to Professor Idu. Professor Idu, what's your own perspective to this, traditional medicine and herbal medicine?
Well, just as I just said, the herbal medicine view currently is not like how people see it, those days, where they just feel that, people just get plants anyhow and then dispense and all that. We are growing from one stage to another stage. Right now, I think the concept or the perception of one of the respondents in that is not really right. We have done quite a lot of work, and we often take it to that stage where we have the dosage, we have, we look at how beneficial it is to the body. Is it toxic? Is it not toxic? What are the harmful effects? And, complete system works, for that particular plant. And when we are getting it out for the value-added aspect of it, where it goes out to the public, we just notice, we find out that it's something that we can beat our chest on and say, of a truth, this particular product, we might call it supplement if you want, has something that is, that is beneficial, of benefit to the body. And we are very sure that every aspect, the scientific aspect of it, has been worked on. Now, that does not also put away, the traditional medicine, the traditional healers, their own perception. They have come a long way from one generation to another generation. And honestly, I've seen quite a lot of them. Many of them, I know of one, over 100 years old. He documented everything, documented his ideas, the plants, even the incantations were all documented. And that is late now, but given to another generation to carry on. And I really don't believe that theirs too is something that we should throw aside. Because if you say dosage, for instance, I'm sorry, Mama Navdak, you can, they will tell you 1 cup. 1 cup is a dose. Half teaspoon is a dose. So both sides, whether the herbal medicine or the traditional medicine, there's a collaboration. The only thing on our own side is that we are taking the herbal aspect into the scientific realm and making the best use of it for our own generation. But honestly, there's a synergy between the two sides of it.
Okay, thank you, Professor Edu. Let's bring in Dr. Jamilat Aliyu Ibrahim. Again, still on this issue, because fine, pharmacist Zainab indicated that all of you here, you are herbalists. But in the popular imagination, as my colleague Kirian framed it earlier, you would find a conflation, between the herbalist, refined as you are, and professional as you are, versus the spiritualists or the diviners, who also will bring in aspects of herbalism into their practice. So where is the dividing line, if any, or is the overlap all intermixed so that you have abandoned the divination and spiritual aspect of it and then focused on plants and herbs and roots?
Thank you very much. As Hajjat Zainab Sharif said, we're all herbalists. And not only are we all herbalists, we're also all herbal users, one way or the other, whether willingly or unwillingly as a child. you must have taken it. And what you said, she also explained earlier that there are several aspects of traditional medicine. The spiritualism aspect, the bad attendant, the bone setters, and the herbalist. Of course, there are also others who practice one or two or three of them at the same time. There are people who practice spiritualism, and at the same time, they also use herbal. They find a way to do both. Even the bone setters, they are also herbalists, because part of what the remedy they use for their bone setters are for plant and animal, or even any part of plant, or even the animal parts too, they use it for their practice. Even the bad attendant, as she said, they are herbalists, because they use part of the thing they use to help the woman to deliver faster or to stop bleeding are plants, any part of the plant part. So there are people who actually practice both, or 3 or 4 aspects of traditional medicine. Yes, for us, she refers to us as herbalists. Yes, we are herbalists because the mere fact that we do not have this scientific way of proving the spiritualism does not mean we should look down on it for now. There are pathways for us to look at the herbal aspect, and that is exactly what we are doing. The spiritualism aspect is not an aspect that you can separate away from some herbalists, because they actually use that in a way, and the people they treat believe in it. And the most important thing is that they help those people to achieve whatever ailment or whatever issues they have with their health, whether spiritual, emotional, which is all in totality when it comes to health of any human being.
Yes, thank you indeed. And we'll bring in NAFDAC here, because NAFDAC is at the center of it all. Because between a herbalist and a traditional medicine person, there is a patient.
Yes.
And NAFDAC comes in between as a regulatory body whose endorsement is required, before a particular drug or medicine, whether herbal or traditional, could be administered on a patient. So what is the place of trado medicine and herbal medicine? What is the place of them in NAFDAC?
Well, I'm wearing 2 caps today. I'm the CEO of NAFDAC, but also a researcher in herbal medicine. I'm not a herbalist, but I did my research. I was doing research in herbal medicines before I took up the job. To just add to what has been said before, we have lost a lot as a country because of misconceptions about traditional medicine. There are extremes to both to the perspectives. One extreme is that it is all about spiritualism and incantation, and so they don't want to touch anything that is not conventional. And then there is another extreme that without incantation, without the traditional spiritualism, it's not going to work. The world has moved ahead of us completely. China has about 6,000 years in herbal or in traditional medicine, not just herbal, and it's not the incantation that led China to where they are now. It is years of knowing what this does, what that does in terms of plants or animal parts. And they then brought all those together. Traditional medicine, for example, in China, because I took my students there many years ago from the US, include acupuncture, heat treatment, or moxibustion, that's what they call it, because they've thought and researched over years. Acupuncture, there are about 600 nerve endings in our bodies. And when they put the needle to a particular part, we now know, or they're now telling us, that it is where it's a nerve ending. And once that needle gets there, it sends a signal to some centers in the body to react pharmacologically. It's now been proven. Of course, incantation may be to make the person peaceful or whatever, but it may not translate. It is what is being done to the body, either through taking it or through heat treatment or through whatever means. All these are collected as traditional medicines. In terms of NAFDAC, we stand in the middle, so to say, when an applicant submits an application to us. We have to be able to verify it. We have two types of listing, or two categories rather, of herbal medicines. We deal with herbal medicines right now. We don't deal with other things because you have to be able to prove it. It is real science to prove the acupuncture thing. You need a lot of equipment. We don't even have it in Nigeria. But in terms of what we do on a daily basis, we have to be sure that the patient is not going to take something that will kill them. Take a liquid medicine, for example. Where was the water gotten? How long is that liquid medicine going to stay on the shelf? The hawkers that hawk them, how long have they been carrying them? Is that liquid medicine now a culture medium for microbes? So that the herbal medicine may be there, but what is going to kill the patient faster is the contamination. So we do microbiological tests, we do toxicological tests in NAFDAC. Just to be sure that it's not going to disturb the patient to the point that the antibiotics will not even work because there are strange microbes there. But we are now going a step further. That is part of what I did before I came to NAFDAC. To do more characterizations of this herbal medicine. For example, if you have a herbal medicine that you want to see how long it's going to stay on the shelf before it breaks down, you have to be able to identify one bioactive in that medicine to track it from day 1 and then day 15, day 30, day 40 or whatever, see whether it's going down. But it needs a lot of research to be able to track down one bioactive, because one plant may have like 6 bioactives or 10 bioactives, whatever. So that is part of what now we are trying to do.
But NAFDAC has been approving some herbal medicines that have passed all these tests you're talking about.
Actually, yes, we approve. We approve drugs, herbal medicines for 2 years.
Okay.
Once they've passed the microbiological and toxicological test.
Okay.
For 2 years, and then if they bring clinical data to us, then we can approve for 5 years.
Okay, madam. The incantation aspect of it, the incantation she talked about, it's like a medium. They want to communicate to God, for the efficacy of whatever they are administering. And the animal part of it is the reason why the DB and Igbo land will ask you to bring a chicken or bring a goat.
You used to do that. Yes.
No, I didn't research on that.
Okay, all right. But in addition to what has been said, let's move on now. Pharmacist Zainab Sharif, tell us, what is the state of practice of herbal medicine in Nigeria today? We understand now that, okay, you have combined honors. There are persons who will mix spiritualism with this one. But for, let's say, the top grade, the top drawer, what is the state of practice of herbal medicine in Nigeria today?
There's this thought I was trying to say in the aspect of spiritualism. For us, in looking at the traditional medicine, when she said the Chinese call their own Chinese traditional medicine, the Indians call their own the Ayurveda, what do we call our own as Africans? That is the purpose of why we are looking at this team, to be able to have, we must have an identity for our own. And for us, we have looked at this as black medicine, medicine of the people, community medicine. We must have an identity. The spiritual angle, just a little. I look at science. Who are science? Science is people that make things to work based on standards they have decided to develop. And science does not have the spiritual angle to prove. And that doesn't mean because science does not have the spiritual angle to prove means the spiritual angle is wrong. Because we are all here. We don't see God, but we know God and we believe in God. That is a spiritual connection. So when the herbalists want to look at the spiritual angle, it depends on the positivity and the negativity of that angle. You connect, you make a phone to United States, you talk to somebody. That is the spiritual science angle of the people. So in the spirituality, let those who are doing the spirituality, because you cannot pretend there are no occultists. They do it for their own benefit. They know what they are doing. But for us, we look at the positive angle because now health is including spirituality. There is that aspect of spiritual medicine now going on. You cannot believe you can manage a disease without trying to look for intervention for God to direct you. That is why there's this Latin statement that says, medicus curat, natural sunat. Man treats, but God cures. So that is very important. But for the practice, it's been long generation. The existence of man comes with the existence of medicine. Either, like we have said. So, when you say the practice, our people have been using it, like we have said, grandparent generation to generation. I call them traditional scientists. I do often ask you, how did your mother know how to cook egusi? Who gave that intuition? These are things that were handed over to people who had the gift of healing. When you have the gift of healing, you are also being able to identify the plants to heal. And then scientists, 45% of the meds we use today were discovered by practitioners. Then the scientists will pick it up and expose it to further research. They have a role. So they have been practicing it. What we are doing is that traditional science that they have done, they have practiced. None of you here, nobody in the world that has not tested traditional medicine in one way or the other. That is traditional science. We now, the modern science, we are all looking at it. We want to take it further to research on what is in this plant that makes it positive. Like when I was called to be a knowledgeable herbalist as a pharmacist, I said, my God, if I tell my colleagues this lemongrass is used in the management of malaria, the next thing they will ask me, what is in it? So I knew that I had to look for that in-between knowledge so that I can be able to take people. And that has helped positively. It gives you widely knowledge and even makes you formulate better. And you are able to help the herbalist, the practitioner, to make his products better. Improvement, if you go now, it will surprise you to know. Like in the program we are doing now, we have exhibitors. You see them, the generation, the old people are now passing it to their educated sons and daughters. Some of them have gone, you see some of them are even, you can see we have doctors amongst us there. I am a pharmacist and I'm proud to be a medicinal plant expert, gifted by God, because I got the inheritance from my grandmother and I had to take it because I had to know. And that has helped me to study plants, to know from the practitioners, gain their knowledge, so that I will now come to the lab and discuss scientifically to be able to know how do we make this. Training is going on. We have been able to develop curriculum. He is going to tell you that they now have, in Ghana, they do a degree in herbal medicine. Nigeria, we must wake up. We must wake up. It's getting too late. So that the diversity that we have of plants, 8,000 species of medicinal plants. I was sad when I went to present a paper in Dubai. And then a presenter there from UK University said he was going to present a paper on a plant called Leptidemia hasitata. When he stood up to say, he said, this plant, you know where I got this plant from? He said he got it from Nigeria. He is there presenting the paper. But the good news is that he has a challenge with intellectual property rights. So he must come back to Nigeria to see. So why are we? We have so many plants. Studies are going on. Universities are now going on. He will tell you, University of Ilori is running a degree program. ABU is doing it. BUK has a Center for Medicinal Plant Research. Enough of that, no dosage, no standard. If you say no dosage, no standard, then we are not scientists. because we are making it better and it's there for the benefit of
All right, Alja. Alja has a long history of this trad medicine or herbal medicine, as it were. She has developed some using moringa oleifera, aloe vera, and what have you. We'll come to that in the course of this conversation. But now, the UN, United Nations, says that traditional medicine is the sum total, as we all agree here, of knowledge, skills, and practices based on the theories, beliefs, and experiences indigenous to different cultures. Now, what should be the nexus, or what is the nexus between the traditional medicine and orthodox medicine? And I'd like to bring you here, Prof. I ask this question because, yes, we're all speaking here, you're all scientists, you all have medical background, and of course the traditional one. But if you go out further, on a broader note, some orthodox medical practitioners do not even want to hear about anything traditional medicine. Prof.
I think that's a cake now. It's not something we should be talking about because we are far behind, too far behind. Other countries have, hacked into it, and they are doing well. For example, in India now, you have university, running programs in traditional medicine, Ayurveda medicine, and then the Orthodox go there for knowledge. They go to them for knowledge. Yeah. So there's a synergy. And I know of several hospitals where you'll be made to choose, do you want traditional medicine or do you want the Orthodox type of medicine?
In Nigeria? Or?
Well,
elsewhere.
But at least I know of one in Nigeria. Okay. Yes, yes, Dr. Professor Lakmadi's clinic. He has the Orthodox arm, he has the traditional arm. And then when he looks and he says, oh, this one is not going to be handled by us, he goes, sends the person to the other side, But all over, things are going faster than we think. Yes. These are basic things that we shouldn't contest, that there's life in nature. Plant is not something that is just there for us to admire. There's life in it. There's health in nature. And we have to take it and use it properly. I think that's where we're coming from now. So I believe that people should not be scared, whether we like it or not. About 80% of Nigerians or Africans we rely heavily on, these herbal things. Whether you like it or not, if I ask you a question or two now, you'll find that even by the end of the day, you have taken something that is herbal, unknowingly, even from the food you eat. So there should be a synergy. There should be a kind of understanding, between the Orthodox and the TMs, to come to that understanding that they complement one another and not, not fighting, each other. Whatever questions that are abound, they are being solved, and our exposure is coming up by the day. So it's not something we should throw away.
Well, Professor Idu, well, thank you very much. But is the academia responding to this emerging realization that herbal medicine is here to stay?
Yeah, I think that's where we are getting it right now. Currently, there's a committee that started in 2013 by the then Minister of Health to be able to put together, this, is that a herbal tea? Yeah. Okay. Okay. To bring together, to bring into the academic circle, this, the curriculum that would teach herbal medicine, integrate that into the current system of practice. And where that committee grew, I became a member of the second generation committee. And we have been able to draw up the curriculum, and 6 universities have been earmarked to take off as trials from each geopolitical zone. I think we stopped at the point where we want the NUC to recommend, to give us a shoot on, and then we do all the necessary things, and those programs we kick off. And when people are trained, it's such that you must go through that training, either as a nurse, as a pharmacist, as this, whatever health practitioner you are, you must go through it. And good to it. For those of them that go through MBBS and can't go, maybe they jumped out along the way, they will be made to take some extra courses, and they will go up with a degree in herbal medicine. So instead of them roaming around and all that, they have a degree in herbal medicine. So they can really put these things together, and it will work for this nation. Job creation, health, perfect.
Yes, so we're looking forward to that. Really, reading through a text, I realized that there is a university in Armenia that is a traditional medicine university.
Oh, yes.
Is that a question of, yes, simple university. And this is where they have medical techniques and advanced techniques for integrative medicine.
Exactly.
Right, and how can we now leverage on the abundant plants scattered all over Nigeria? And of course, you have given us an idea of what is going on at the moment, but we want to see something further where the orthodox medicine practitioners and, of course, the traditional ones should come together and have a Nigerian brand.
Actually,
I recall that during the Ebola saga in Nigeria, I was privileged to anchor a program on Ebola in which I hosted the then Minister of Health, Dr. Chukwu, and his counterpart, the information. Now, and then recall that the Ebola endemic countries relied on the therapy brought in by WHO in America, so to speak, but Nigerian medical practitioners developed their own concept. And the man told me that, look, that the therapy that they have is unheard of before. Perhaps it's like bringing this and that together, putting it together and see what it can do. And it worked for Nigeria, because those who had a contact, who were infested, were cured by what they did. So I virtually forced him to tell us exactly what the therapy was. So there can be a homegrown therapy that can address those ailments that have defied all the orthodox approach.
Actually, yes. You see, Nigeria has a big issue at hand. We have a low-hanging fruit. Our low-hanging fruit is herbal medicine, because that can be easily tested, relatively speaking, because it's actually difficult in the lab. You need sophisticated equipment to be able to test it. We are surrounded by what God knew that we need in terms of plants, but we have not tapped it. We have not tapped it, and that is the reason why in March of this year, I inaugurated a national committee on herbal medicine products. About 72 people came. The goal of NAFDAC was to be a linker between the herbalists and the researchers. We cannot just sit still with all the things that we have surrounding us and try to be in one camp or the other. No. The traditional herbalists and the researchers must come together. That's why NIPRIT is so important. They are specialists in herbal medicine research. And now we're going to have another meeting in September to foster this relationship. Some of the problems that we have in Nigeria is secrecy. My own grandfather died with his secrecy. He didn't die actually with his secrecy. He wrote a formulary in a notebook. And myself and my cousin were looking at it, and then I came back years after. I said, brother, where is the book? I've burnt it because I'm now a Christian. So we have to know that God has given us plants and animals for our own benefit. And so we're going to keep fostering this relationship. Another thing that breaks my heart is the intellectual property aspect of it. Once you develop a product and it's working, and I'm talking from experience, the product that I was working on before, I wanted my patent medicine, as a patent lawyer rather, to file for patent. And she asked me, how long has this been on the market? I said, oh, this was approved by NAFDAC 10 years ago or whatever. He said, you can no longer patent it. Yeah. It is now public knowledge. Within a year of making it public, you've got to apply for patent. We have lost so much. But talking of research, it is a low-hanging fruit. TED Fund can start funding researchers in herbal medicines. We will go a long way. We will get a lot of mileage because we are so rich in our biodiversity.
I'm just wondering, Professor Ade, based on what you're saying and what you said earlier, do we not have a challenge of the fact that you have, excuse me, a proliferation of producers of herbal medicines? Yes. And that there is virtually no standardization by way of corporate, having corporate entities that produce this that you can readily go to and identify. Pharmacy Zainab could have her own concoction. Yeah. Kingsley will have his own concoction, like I do here. Kirian takes his own at home before he comes, and so on and so forth. And we have all of this all about it. So how do you deal with that? In other words, how do you gradually upscale and say, look, you have to have a corporate identity, yes, or there has to be better corporate management of what is coming out rather than each person going, to scoop something from a corner and then coming to the open market? Yeah,
that is part of why this national committee is extremely important. For the researchers to respect the herbalist and to know that an intellectual property belongs to the inventor, not to you that is doing it. Once the person has already invented it, of course the inventor may bring you in, but you are not the primary inventor. You are just helping hands. That is the way intellectual property works. But in terms of proliferation of herbal medicines, all over the country.
Producers, yes.
Producers. That is where NAFDAC comes in. One medicine taking care of 200 ailments. Yes. No, it cannot happen that way. And we go after hawkers, but we need more staff to be able to do that and tools to go after them, not go after them punitively, but to also sensitize. Because our people don't really know that there's no medicine that can take care of 200 diseases. No way. So that is where the the market control comes in, and sensitization. Our people want to know more.
Yeah, and I know an average herbal medicine hawker, will tell you that what I have can do this and do that. Okay, let's go to Jamila. Jamila, in this era of widespread antibiotic resistance, some experts of the view that plants are considered the most prospective source of antimicrobial compounds. Now, is there antimicrobial efficiency in plants in Nigeria? I'm asking this because NIPRID, came up with a sickle cell treatment medicine some time ago. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened along the line, but you people have you've had experience of creating or rather formulating a formula that worked with sickle cell, which we never had anywhere in the world. So do we have antimicrobial compounds in our plants in Nigeria, and how can they be used?
Thank you very much. To just take us back a little bit to the Niprisan, that is the one for the sickle cell, developed by NIPRID, is actually called Niprisan. Yes, it was developed following scientific method. And also, to support what DG NAFDAC said, the intellectual property, the herbalist, the old man who gave NIPRID the formula, is still gaining from that aspect up to today. The man is late, but the children are gaining from it. That is an example of how intellectual property should be taken care of. NIPRID has that perfect example. They take it from the herbalist, they develop it into a herbal medicine, drug, and it was being taken by the Nigerian populace, even exported outside during that time. And there's a formula, I can't say it exactly now, but the herbalists still gain from it up to today.
Is there market availability of the
Yes, I'm coming to that. Yeah. Yes, there was an issue based on what you said, but that has been taken care of. The government has currently given approval for the drug to be given out, commercialized. And I don't know if I can measure the pharmaceutical company. A pharmaceutical company in Nigeria has currently been given that license. And they are working on it, and within a short time, you will be able to have that drug in the open market. And apart from that, NIPRI still currently produce what we call social service. The government gave us that approval because there were so many people who were on that drug. And when that issue which you mentioned came on, those people were going to suffer. So the government gave NIPRI a approval, what we call social production, which we're still doing up to today. So people still come to NIPRI to access the NIPRI up to now. Then coming back to the one when you said plants for antimicrobials. Yeah. Yes, and I say yes. There are so many antimicrobial plants which has several properties that can compare favorably with most antibiotics in the market. NIPRI has developed several products, which she said we have low-hanging fruits. There's several products in NIPRI we call low-hanging fruits, drugs that had been developed. Because as much as you want the herbalists to also do that, those of us in the scientific world also need to show example of how it can be done. So we had gone ahead from the beginning to also develop it to a commercial level. We have several products for anti-diabetic, we have for hypertension, we have for malaria, not one or two.
Are they commercialized? Can they be bought in open market?
Yes, they are. We call it low-hanging fruit. They are there. But we don't have ready for commercialization, ready for the stakeholders who are interested.
What is delaying commercialization?
I just want to say, because I want to say there is a gap between the practitioners and the scientists, in the sense that the DG mentioned that secrecy. But what we have observed, because from the Federal Ministry of Angle, we have a collaboration with the practitioners. They need to be recognized positively, and they need to be respected. And I'm glad that it's both ways. The practitioners train us, and we too train the practitioners. As we are sitting here, if you ask any of us, how many of you have gone to the field to identify plants? We may say we are yet to. But we use the practitioners, and with the help of the taxonomists, to be able to identify the species of the plants. So we need them, we appreciate them, because we need them to tell us the plants outside with the help of the taxonomy, so that you know the species of that plant, which can now be used to process powder. You said there are a lot of concoctions out there. Is there any improvement? Yes, there are. If you go to most pharmaceutical chemists now, you see a lot of products listed by NAFDAC. From records, NAFDAC has listed over 1,000 medicinal plants. They look at it in terms of safety and toxicity. And most of these medicinal plants you see is a simple theory that you begin with, from known to unknown. Food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food. Most of them are prepared from some things we know. So they have been listed. So there has been a progress. With the traditional medicine bill, which is something that we are in dear need to be passed, the bill is currently with the Ministry of Justice in conclusion, because we were there last week. So that when this bill is passed, we now have a traditional complementary medicine council, just like we have dental and medical council. The Ministry of Health is seriously pushing that. When you have the council, you will see things will work naturally. There will be better regulation on all those carrying the products, using them anyhow that you are talking, either agbo or concoction. But in every home, you prepare concoction, and it's allowed. We call them extemporaneous preparations. You can do that. Okay?
Extemporaneous.
It's something you do immediately and you take it.
Take it quickly.
Yes.
Quickly. No,
quickly,
just,
because you have the plans.
Yes,
and like we said, because I want to bring the economic angle of it, which will tie in why we must run away, why we must quickly catch these low-hanging fruits, like she has said. There are so many plant species that we have. They are coming to take them away. And some of them collaborate with the practitioners. And some of us, they take those plants away. Fagara roots, which is also an anti-sickling plant. I have seen them in Indian factory. They said this one was from Ghana, was from Nigeria. So what are we doing? The research, I am not talking to researchers because you cannot keep on saying the traditional medicine practitioner did it. You, the researchers too, you have a problem. Yes. We, the scientists, will have a problem. We have refused to look at those research that are lying in the shelves. Bring them off commercialization. That is why I said there is a value chain, because some of these spaces in the value chain is missing. NIPRIT has done research. They have these products. We are waiting, put it in the market so that it can benefit people. All of us who have done research, you find that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. I had a volume, 1 to 8 books from India, documenting all their database of plants. And in all their database of plants, they have gone to produce products. They can be mono products, they can be dye products, they can be multiple products. Ginger is packaged as a spice. Ginger is packaged as capsule in the management of rheumatism or hypertension. The same ginger is packaged in the making of soap, because this is beauty now. Yes. Apart from medicinal angle, we are not only talking about medicine, we are also looking at environmental climate change. Moringa is a desert-resistant plant. We are talking of desertification. If you grow moringa along this desert, it's resistant. Economic value, health benefits, desert. It's only can be given by plants.
Yeah, and
so
obviously from what she has said, Nigeria has so many plants that have a good biological activity.
Yes, you don't need to reinvent the wheel.
And that is why some other people come
just
and
quickly take it
from
and
Nigeria.
Well, the same way they come for our solid minerals.
They go.
And then, you know.
You see, that is one thing that...
When they said...
This is one thing that breaks my heart.
It breaks my heart.
You see, because
Cheer
we
up.
have all
Cheer
the...
up.
we have all these surrounding
We'll
us. I had some toothache about 2 years ago, and it was on a weekend. I called my dentist in the US, and he said that, oh, unfortunately I cannot see you today, but get tea bag. Get tea bag, soak it in water slightly and place it on it.
Tea bag.
Tea bag. It has
antioxidants,
anti-bleeding, flavonoids that can stop bleeding. You see, your tea, so when it comes to natural medicines, especially herbal or plant-based, in the US now you have people adding one thing to the other and blending and drinking in the morning.
Even in Nigeria here,
yes, we
fruits.
have everything that can improve our own health on a daily basis.
I want to quickly say the tea bag she talked about. Camellia sinensis, Taraba State.
Sorry, please.
That's tea.
Tea bag.
Tea bag.
Camellia sinensis. That is the botanical name.
That's your
Taraba in Nigeria
is
blessed with one of the best tea species in the world. If the Taraba governor knows what he has there, he will produce multiple tea bags, either combined or the single, because it has a lot of antioxidants and flavonoids in it. That is a potential. Cameroon, our neighbor, they have a plant called Prunus africana. That plant is used in the management of prostate problem. In a conference, I met a traditional ruler, from Cameroon to attend a scientific conference that has to do with herbal medicine. I was wondering, what is this man looking for here? At the end, the discussion was that a plant that is useful has been found in Cameroon. Echinacea, a strong immune booster. So, the pharmaceutical companies in France came to exploit that plant. But the most important thing, the traditional rulers were now carried along, recognized. They now came, sat down and discussed intellectual property rights, bioresources, and benefit sharing.
All right.
Now, that plant, not only the France have gone back to set a factory in Cameroon, they have built hospitals, schools to the community. In Nigeria, the plants are in the community. They are in the states.
We're really
If
missing a lot.
governors can know the value, that is community development.
Yeah.
The people who come to take your plants, you sit down, what are you giving me, there will be massive development.
That's
when it comes
natural resource.
774 local governments
Natural resource
must
management.
have one plant that
know,
has a potential for commercialization.
you know what? Thank you very much, our dear guests. We're going to take a short break now. When we return, of course, we'll take some of the tweets that have come in and then continue with the conversation. And just by the way, Kirian, Pharmacist Zena was referring us to the quality of the tea in Taraba. And in the meantime, Wadume was a kidnapper in Taraba, and then you were having all kinds of wanton killings in Taraba. Jukun versus thieves, whereas you have other things to focus your attention on, and then lift up the quality of life of the people and indeed of Nigerians in general. Let's take a short break now.
Hold it! Me, I don't comot my hand from oil bunkering.
General, what you gonna yarn? What did the yarn serve? I don't understand though.
Because they spoil our water and our environment. And they cause our people serious harm. Militants said, you know good. Me, I not do again, Sam. Because why? Change begins with me.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Yeah, welcome back. We're still on the Friday's edition of Good Morning Nigeria, reaching you live on the network service of the NTN. We have a very interesting topic this morning, and of course, many Nigerians have begun to respond by way of tweets. So let's begin. DW Nigeria Limited, the efficacies of their medicines could be true, but my concern has always been the chemical compositions of those herbs. What are the long-term effects of the herbs on a patient? Has any clinical trials been done, or is there any proof it has worked on the proponents?
Dele Jack Solomon has this tweet. Traditional African medicines have been of greater help to all of society and modern science, but still lie at the root of much controversy over its inability to be a valid healing tool. Some doctors and scientists believe that a possible placebo effect makes these remedies and rituals work.
All right, from higher, that's the HIA, traditional alternative medicine actually works. What it lacks is research and analysis to examine how it works and possible side effects.
Now, Mike Anyakwa has this tweet. So it's Trado, as popularly called by many people, cannot be discountenanced. Adherents will tell you that they are better than modern medicines. The concern is that one particular Trado medicine can cure a lot of illnesses at the same time, and the ways they advertise them too are ridiculous.
Yeah, but you just missed this one, Dr. Adams, you know what he said. You know, that,
all right, yeah, that's
it. I'm a traditional medicine practitioner. We are happy about this program. I'm ready to give my contribution. Thanks.
So what is his contribution?
Well, the contribution is that he's a traditional medicine practitioner.
Okay, all right, let's continue. You want to take Onoye Victor?
Yeah.
Okay. Onoye Victor tweets, African traditional medicines have come of age. Now, as the name suggests, African herbs and roots are efficacious in the treatment of various ailments from time immemorial. In some cases, witches and wizards are blamed for certain ailments which are scientifically unproven.
Now, Akeju Olabaju, there was traditional medicine practice in place in Africa in the earliest time. However, it was not developed along with Western education, just like other Asian countries did. Yes, it is in practice in Africa, but not standardized. It is an alternative if properly developed and regulated.
Francis Obi, the fact that most patients still believe in African traditional medicine is not in doubt, and African countries should come together to harmonize treatment and document them, which I think the different agencies or persons can help in doing. Some of the traditional medicine is more effective, only that is measurable. Most people with diseases like typhoid, prefer traditional medicine?
Law Alpha C. African traditional medicine thrives more in a poor, ignorant environment where the people do not have the means and sometimes the time to seek for normal Medicare.
Now, but I must say Adamu tweets. Now, despite the lack of prescription at times of the medicines, we have all benefited from it. Now, African traditional medicine should be institutionalized in Nigeria so as to lift our culture.
PST Money App says ATM is a viable, maybe ATM means alternative, traditional medicine is a viable option for many people. It is cheaper and accessible, especially in the rural areas. Its efficacy is no more in doubt. The government and tertiary institutions should invest heavily in research and development to take it to international standard like that of China.
Now, Amogbala Babs tweets, this is an interesting topic, really. Now, over the years, what I've come to realize is that orthodox medicine, particularly those without surgery, is only managing, but not 100% curative. Our traditional medicine provides 99.9% cure for most ailments.
And Titus Monde York said, efficacy of such medicines can't be in doubt, but what I truly suggest is to put in more scientific research in the potency, taking cognizance of quality and quantity control measures. NAFDAC should be at the forefront to enunciate the viability of such drugs on humans and otherwise.
Honorable Victor again. Now, that traditional African medicines are truly efficacious, it's not in doubt. This is particularly manifest in some cases of orthopedic problems, although subject to trial and error. But it has to be regularized, which is an uphill task. Modern drugs originated from herbs too.
Yes, Adekunle Olawashimobi Olayemi. It's good because it has been in existence during our forefathers. Nowadays, government doesn't permit us to use it because of modern-day medicine, and people are using it abusively. If government can try to enlighten people on it, it will be very helpful in our society.
Festus Akimboye again. The truth is, Africa is home to many medicinal plants that are used to make traditional medicines that have been also available to treat many diseases for hundreds of years. No one can deny the benefits of African traditional medicine, and it is here to stay. But its use should be regulated.
Chris Simeon says, I do not take African traditional medicine, but it works perfectly like hospital medicine. It cures.
Cecilia Okoroma, just to appreciate pharmacist Sharif and the others that have been consistently consistent in the promotion of nature's gifts to man. Herbal medicine researchers need government support. The Chinese that discover man and Nigerian, I don't know, this is a bit complicated. It said herbal medicine researchers need government support, full stop, yes.
Okay, now, Omar Osman Ndanosa, good morning, NTA and Nigeria. This is a very good topic as it has to do with traditional medicine. My advice to the practitioners is to try and integrate the processing of herbal medicine with latest technologies.
All right, Mohammed Mustafa says, traditional medicine, if the disease is known and you get the traditional medicine, it works more than tablets. That you can use.
Mohammed Mustafa says traditional medicine like moringa leads cooked water, cures high blood pressure, very successful and stabilizes it more.
Sunny Michael Amakoji, African traditional medicine serves as raw material to conventional medicine. And the fact is that if properly harnessed, it is more original and effective than conventional medicine. However, the superstitious belief and myths attached to it make it uncelebrated.
Okay, now, Professor Oko of Foboche, he says, African traditional medicine was stigmatized by the colonial masters for conventional black doctors to dispense their Western drugs. That belief is what ruined African medicine, herbal farming production for global use. Some Western drugs were got from their herbs, or herbs that they took.
Now, Abednego S. Umbole tweets, now, for the conventional medicine to gain acceptance, the issuer explains to convince the user. So the traditionalists also use incantations to convince the users too. Is that not so?
Yakub Adedotu said, science is simply a reformed model or fashion of herbal medicine. We shouldn't let westernization dominate our lifestyle. We are Africans. Science and medicine is simply a reformed model or fashion of herbal medicine. We Africans shouldn't allow westernization to dominate our lifestyle. We are Africans, and this is the means of economic development.
Usman Danusa, the most important thing Nigeria needs for the growth of traditional medicine is setting up research bodies where all innovations on herbal medicine can be tested. We already have research body. Today, we have a herbal doctor in Nasarawa State who has treated more than 80 people of diabetic ailment. All right, now, one point that is emerging from our conversation, one point among several others, is there is a recognition of the importance of herbal medicine. There's also a recognition of the presence of a wide variety of plants and leaves and roots and branches, biodiversity that can be converted into as part of the herbal medicine practice. And NIPRID is here, you are working on your research, NAFDAC is here, regulator. And there is a gap that pharmacists already identified with regard to the value chain, commercialization. Who should be the coordinator of all of this so that you have all the issues galvanizing Nigerians and drawing our attention to the wealth that lies in herbal medicine? Because they say health is wealth that lies in herbal medicine. Who should be the coordinator so that whatever nitty-gritty, whatever naughty issues are there are clarified, the prof is here, whatever issues we have with the Dental and Medical Council also clarified, and then, you know, we are saying that we are ramping up.
Actually, when it comes to the coordination, this committee that we set up brought the stakeholders together. But it's the beginning, because we're going to bring more people in. However, in terms of, and what we did with that meeting is to break the whole group down into subcommittees or focus groups. People, you know, Ajia Zainab is in charge of records with other academicians. There are some people in charge of harvesting or post-harvesting. There are some people in charge of formulation. I believe that this is going to grow or crystallize out to get to where what you are talking about. But Ministry of Health, NAFDAC, NIPRID, extremely important. Ministry of Health gives the policy, NIPRID is set up for the research. And NAFDAC, of course, the regulation of it. But we are doing more than regulation. We want to. That is my own personal thing.
Let's get yes. Before you add, let me just open up an angle, you know, for you to come in, because the question Kisle asked, you know, borders on the fact that yes, NAFDAC is there. NIPRID is there. We all have other bodies. We have committees. Now, can it be brought to a central point where, you know, the nation will look at it as a growing trend to look into this area? Because does it require a legislation or something? You know,
let me just say that from the policy angle, I want to say the journey has started. The journey has started in the sense that in the Ministry of Health, the policy states that there is a need for commercialization of this herbal product, after all these researchers have come out with it, and more importantly, documentation. Yes. And then in the angle of producing documents is very important. Like we have the herbal pharmacopoeia. Yes, Professor Idu is a member, where we are documenting all these medicinal plants with scientific, he will say more on that. So that document is to serve as a guide to be able to know these medicinal plants. And with the establishment of the full-fledged department of Traditional and Complementary Medicine Department, one of the mandates of that department, and is specifically a division, is to look into the development, promotion, and commercialization of herbal medicine. So that means looking at all those plants, documenting them, bringing them together, and then all the relevant stakeholders meeting. In the Pharmacopoeia Committee, we have expert committee. We also have commercialization committee.
Okay, Kirian, I was just going to say this. Let's throw this in.
Yes.
I listened to some of the names that have been mentioned as committee members and so on and so forth. May we suggest, because we also interact with them on Good Morning Nigeria,
Thank you.
in Nigerian Economic Summit Group, Nigerian Economic Summit Group, LCCI, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, NASIMA, which is the national body, and more importantly today, Central Bank of Nigeria. Exactly. And in the Central Bank, you can also get the Bankers Committee, because there has to be financing of all of this, Kieran.
Yes,
So there has to be,
definitely,
if you get the bankers committee or you get the central bank, of course, if doing anchor borrowers program is driving agriculture, and part of what we are seeing, whether in getting Taraba to chase their teas or to get moringa to plant, the Ministry of Agriculture or Ministry of Environment, they are supposed to have the Great Green Wall. If they go to plant moringa, use youth corps members to plant, where would the bandits come from?
That's right. Even very importantly, like you have said, I said the value chain. That means the planters or the cultivators. Yes. Massive wealth, massive job creation for all the cultivators. After they cultivate, they harvest and they process dry. There is a scientific procedures for that storage. Yes. That alone is job creation. Because
time's on our side, but so let's get Prof to also talk. We have just 3 minutes to go. Right now, we have. I personally have understood, where we are coming from and what has been put in place for now. But we are only talking about the centrality of it. We're talking about the possibility of making it as a movement, in the health sector. Now, I just talked about data, plant data about the plants that we have in Nigeria with high biological activity. Right. Is there any mechanism to explore the entire Nigeria flora to find out the plants that exist?
Yes. The first stage, where we had this PIC, Presidential Initiative Committee, that was set up by President Obasanjo. Unfortunately, along the line, a lot of things happened and it went down. That ought to bring out the picture that we're expecting to get money from the biodiversity of this country. Now, we call it the green gold, and there's a lot of wealth in herbal medicine. Cultivating alone is a lot of money. And dispensing and, people acting into it is something that we can't quantify when it comes to, we went to India, and then I think that was 2008, and then they generate $2 billion locally.
And they export 35 medicinal plants outside.
And they make a lot of money.
And they take our moringa. And the moringa, what I'm saying, they make $6 billion annually from just moringa powder. And our own species is one of the best.
One of the best.
Yeah. Niprid.
Your final thoughts.
Your final thoughts. Because your research needs also to be funded.
Yes.
By the time you have this kind of advocacy group that we're talking about, of course, more money will come to you because there will be endowments, or there could be endowments. To say, look, do more research. Let's see what goes on, what can be commercialized, what can be taken off the shelf and brought, into public use.
They can even be researching into some ailments like AIDS, all those difficult ones, all those ones, because you can.
The so-called incurables, hepatitis or whatever it is.
Can be managed with natural remedies.
We need to spread to the tertiary institutions.
Of course, there will be that collaboration. In fact, what Professor Edu is saying now is one issue that our guests have also talked about on Good Morning Nigeria during our interaction with them. We need our research institutes, and then especially our universities and polytechnics, to be solving societal problems. In this case, health issues. Now, I put your closing thoughts.
Yes, the issue of herbal medicine being efficacious, we have gone beyond that. The issue of it being used by Nigerians or even outside the country, we have gone beyond that. The issue of actually having documented, scientifically based evidence on some drugs, we have gone beyond that. There are samples, there are examples, templates we can use to do further analysis on all other medicinal plants that has not been done. Yes, we're at the point where we're looking at it, where I can walk to a hospital and decide that I want to use a herbal medicine for my treatment. That is where I think we are, and that is what we're currently doing. With all the synergism between health, between NAFDAC, the research institutions, and the public, academia, that is ongoing. But one thing we should also know is that research is very expensive. Is something that you need a lot of money to be able to do, to a level that you can beat your chest that you have done what is scientifically acceptable to your populace and to the health of Nigeria. So we require more funding from government and from stakeholders, because there is not only government, there are other stakeholders that can come in. And that is why there are a lot of partnership currently going on. The pharmaceutical companies are also being approached. There are a lot currently ongoing to be able to bring all that. Bring the commercialization to place, so that even from there, funding can also come in to the research institution and to the academia in the area of herbal medicine research.
And you know what is good about science or scientific discovery is the fact that it can be replicated across the globe.
Big time, big time, big time. And we should also say, we'd like to, of course, appreciate all our guests this morning who have been with us on the program, particularly pharmacist Zainab. She, with the greatest respect, doesn't have a bureaucratic disposition to these issues. I mean, some other person, she works in the ministry,
yeah, exactly.
But she has an activist disposition.
Exactly.
Plus, of course, the NAFDAC Director General, personal experiences and all of that. Professor Edu, of course, has been with us in the past. We'd like to thank all of you for being on Good Morning Nigeria today. Professor McDonald Edu of the University of Benin, Professor of Phytomedicine, thanks for being around on Good Morning Nigeria. And Dr. Jamila Aliu Ibrahim of the Department of Medicinal
Plant research and traditional medicine.
She's from NIPRI. From NIPRI, and of course, the Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Moji Adeye. Thank you for obliging us again with your time and then your very informed comments. The herbalist number one, pharmacist Zainab.
Just say, let us eat, let us use, let us grow.
All right.
Benefit.
Thank you very much for being around. Kira?
Yes, it's on this note that we call it a day on this particular edition of Good Morning Nigeria. We found it interesting presenting it to you, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please come again next week, Monday, when we return with a fresh edition of Good Morning Nigeria, your breakfast show. My name is Kirian Umar. Have a great weekend.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. Do enjoy your weekend. See you on Monday, 7 o'clock in the morning.